Well, here's how you can do them at home. It's easy and they're delicious. So sip of coffee, I'm going to get right to work. Ooh, that's good today. Okay, so I'm starting out with a couple of racks of pork baby back ribs. These are from Festival. They're just beautiful. They're nice big racks. So this sauce is going to make, the sauce that we're going to make in the recipe, you can do, you know, a couple of racks, two. These are nice big racks, so they should have enough to do two, but if your family just, you know, you just want to do one, that's going to work too. So just want to line my jelly roll pan with some foil because it's this, we're kind of got a sweet, wonderful ketchup-y, sticky sauce, and if you didn't line the pan, it would be a big sticky mess, so we don't want to do that. So I'm going to take my 2 racks of ribs and get them on my jelly roll pan. These are absolutely beautiful. My family loves, look at how, Deb, these are gorgeous. They're huge. I probably, yeah, would do 2 full racks for my family. They'd get gobbled right up for sure. But my family loves ribs, and I'm going to be honest with you, I don't do them very often. I have a real good friend of my husband's who makes the most amazing barbecue ribs on the grill, and I got to get him on the show sometime to make them for us. But these you just do right in the oven, so they're really my kind of recipe. Okay, so I've got the 2 beautiful racks of ribs on my foil-lined jelly roll pan, and I'm going to season them up with some salt and pepper. And I really like to season both sides. Use those tongs and flip them over. Now I've got my oven preheated to around 325 to 350 degrees. Everybody's oven is different, so you know your oven best. There we go. Flip them over. I like to bake my ribs with the meat up and the bone side down. So there you go. Perfect. Nice and seasoned, which is really important. Now, at this point, these guys get into a 325, as I said, to 350-degree oven, and they need to bake for a good hour to an hour and a half. So what's going to happen is they're going to just cook and get tender and wonderful. Total bake time on these ribs is going to be about 2 hours. So this is not one of those deals where you can come home from work and throw them in the oven and expect dinner in a half hour. A lot of love goes into these, and it's worth it. So, you know, make sure to allow some time, because otherwise you can't rush ribs. You just can't. They just won't be tender. So that's that. Okay, so these are going to go into the oven, and I'm going to show you at this point, after they bake for about an hour, hour and a half. Everybody's oven's different. They just start to get brown, and now we need to make them extra special. Okay, so we've got a quick, wonderful Chinese barbecue sauce, and it's real easy. You probably have most of the ingredients for this sauce right in your pantry. So, you know, this is simple stuff, but it's just really delicious. Okay, so we're going to start out with 6 cloves of garlic. I'm using the fresh garlic. In this recipe, the jarred garlic would work just fine too. I'm always looking for shortcuts, and in some cases I would say, no way, Jose, really use the fresh cloves of garlic. But in most cases, when it's going in like a barbecue sauce, the jarred garlic works out just fine. But whoops, hello garlic.
I got that one.
Jumping all over the place. Well, this recipe, we're going to use 5 cloves of garlic. Holy man. Okay. So I just want to mince that up. Smells so good. Anybody out there been to a great Chinatown? I've never been to Chicago's Chinatown. Anybody been there? Is it wonderful? Is it worth the trip? I've been to Greektown in Chicago, and I've been to Little Italy in Cleveland, which is amazing. My husband's from Cleveland. So I've been there, but I've never been to Chinatown in Chicago. But the one that we were in Seattle was just amazing. Because it wasn't just Chinatown. They call it the International District there. So it was a little bit of everything. Really did feel like you're in another country. It was really cool. So if you get to one of those big cities and they've got one of those wonderful ethnic type towns, go check it out sometime. We just ate from place to place to place. It was just wonderful. Okay. So I'm going to get my garlic in here. It doesn't really want to get in here today. It's got a mind of its own. Naughty garlic. Okay. There we go. Now I've got 3/4 of a cup of ketchup, just regular old ketchup. Quarter of a cup of soy sauce. Teaspoon or 2 of crushed red pepper flakes. Just to give it just a pinch of heat. More if you like it a little bit spicy. 3 tablespoons of brown sugar, so you can see where we're going here. We kind of have the sweet with the ketchup and the brown sugar, the salty with the soy sauce. Brown sugar is being naughty today, too. When we get out and pre-measure brown sugar, it tends to just harden up on you. So I guess don't do that. Same goes when I'm making chocolate chip cookies at home. If you get that brown sugar out and you put it in a bowl, within minutes it tends to dry out. So really it's best to just take it right from the bag and right into whatever you're making. Okay, now we've got a little bit of sherry, a couple tablespoons of sherry wine. Or if you don't have that, I always have at home in my pantry just some sherry wine that you get at the liquor department. And, you know, that's a great way to, you know, when you're cooking with wine, of course, it adds a lot of flavor. But if you don't want to be going out and buying, you know, expensive bottles of Chardonnay or whatever to cook with, you can buy a bottle of sherry, and it really has a long shelf life. And, you know, do a splash or two in the recipe. So that's kind of be like the acid in this recipe. If you don't have any sherry on hand, don't want to run out and get some, you know, a tablespoon of vinegar would work well too. An apple cider vinegar would work really wonderful, or rice wine vinegar, which is an Asian vinegar, would really work great. But even just a tablespoon of regular old distilled vinegar would be fine. Okay, now last ingredient, and this is something, if you are into Asian cooking, this is something I definitely think that you should invest in. I have some just ordinary pantry staples. I'm going to take you into my pantry one day at home. It's not real fancy, but I've got it kind of sectioned off, and I think it's a unique way to do things. So I kind of have like all my ketchups together, my barbecue sauces together, and my mustards together. Just, maybe you do that too, but I also have little areas of, different ethnic areas of my pantry where my Mexican food type things are together, my black beans and my salsas and things like that, hot sauces. And then I've got a little area of my pantry where my Asian ingredients are, so that if I'm making a stir fry or making something Asian, I know exactly where it is. And I always have in that area, or usually, soy sauce, of course, that's a staple, and maybe some Asian vinegars, like rice wine vinegar, maybe, some other teriyaki sauce, things like that, and then a bottle of sesame oil. Sesame oil, just a little dab will do ya. This bottle is probably about $3 to $4, maybe even up to $5, just depends on what brand you're buying. It'll last, a while in your pantry, and like I say, just a little touch will do you at the end of a stir fry or even like fried rice, just to splash a little bit of this in there, and it just takes everything to the next level. And that's how one of the secrets in a lot of those Asian recipes are just the little sauces and the little things that they do toward the end. This is not like, you wouldn't put this in a pan and sear a chicken breast in it. It's way too strong and pricey for that. Oh, do you like sesame oil, Deb? I know. I mean, it just smells amazing. So a little bit of that, in the sauce is just going to take it to. I could just smell that all day. But it's, a teaspoon or two will do you. If you're doing a great, Asian salad dressing or a coleslaw or something like that, a little, splash of that, yum. So we've got 2 teaspoons of that in this sauce, and it just really makes it yummy. Okay, so these are our par-baked ribs, I guess is what you're going to call them, or baked ribs. We baked them in the oven at 325 to 350, depending on your oven, for about an hour, hour and a half, so they start to get tender, but they're going to need some more baking time. So at this point, I'm going to spread this sauce all over these ribs, and get them back in the oven for another 20 to 30 minutes. And then I'm going to take them out of the oven again, brush some more of this sauce on them, and bake them for another 20 to 30 minutes. So again, total bake time, about 2 hours on this. And man, it's worth it. Okay, so let me show you. I'll get these back in the oven because everybody here is really excited about them. Running out of room in here. And I want to show you. Yeah. What happens. Here's what they look like. And they are just yummy. And that what happens is they're not super saucy, but they've got enough sauce on them. Because if you notice, you go to the Chinese restaurants, they're not like dripping with sauce like you'd go to, have at a barbecue restaurant. That sauce is just kind of more baked in there. So then you just, at this point, slice them into sections, and everybody have at it, Get out the napkins and go for it. This is great with fried rice or pan-fried noodles or a great big bowl of Asian coleslaw. So these are yummy. I'm going to serve it up and put the recipe, of course, on our website. You can also pick it up at any Festival Foods. Okay.